Jesus, take the wheel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason, Joe, and Crams are here. It is 1972 week here on the channel, doing things a little differently than usual. We are digging deep into 1972. I listened to, I don't know, almost 150 records. I think Joe has listened to close to that many as well over the last 2 or 3 months. I don't know what Cram listened to, but he listened to a lot of stuff as well. He listened to 71 albums. So we listened to some of our old favorites so that we could rescore them. And also made an effort to dig into some stuff we weren't familiar with. I've been following Joe on the Discord. He's been talking quite a bit about 72. So I am excited to see how this shook out for him. And I guess without further ado, Joe Steigerwald's top 25 of 1972.
Love the intro. Cramser didn't get anything like that. That's great. I listened to 114 albums. Chopped liver. 114 albums. The Doors' Full Circle was by far the worst. So let's get that out of the way before we get to the top 25. My number 25, I share with Jason. Second album of 1972 for this band, The Raspberries, with Fresh. This is such a step up for them. Just great Beatlesy derived sunny power pop, but it has like a little saucy edge to it. Eric Carmen's, lyrics and vocals, a little sexual, a little desire, a little extra in there, which adds to it. A lot more shades of styles. Going Nowhere Tonight's real laid back. They have 3 singers, so adds a lot of variety to the sound. Number 24, one that I think Jason hates, but I like. I have Octopus from Gentle Giant. Another one, there's a lot of bands putting out 2 albums in 72. Their other one, Three Friends, I didn't dig that much, but Octopus is super weird, very jazzy, angular. Things just, dart off in weird, unexpected directions, but there's a humor and playfulness and some really cool, like folky madrigals interspersed with all the prog and the jazz. And all of the players, it's like 6 people on this album, and they're all playing like 15 different instruments. It's just incredible display of musical excellence. Number 23 is going to be one that will blow your minds and you will never see coming. But I have Transformer from Lou Reed. And listen, the problem obviously is the rest of the Velvet Underground, because when you take Lou, you pair him with little Mick Ronson, a little David Bowie, suddenly I'm all about it, because these songs are great. They're not that weird. They're not like dark and underground. Like, they're bright, like poppy numbers. He's weird, and he's throwing in all this stuff. Walking the Wild Side with its gender bending lyrics, way ahead of its time as far as like exploring that territory. And then there's songs like Satellite of Love, Vicious, Perfect Day, just perfect little filthy pop music. So really enjoyed that one. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but I do. And that's the last of my 4 stars. We're going 4.5 now, with a masterpiece of soft pop music. I got A Song for You from the Carpenters. I think this is by far their most complete work as a whole album. Obviously, songs like Superstar are just incredible, but as far as a whole album goes, this one's the best. A Song for You, On Top of the World, which in this iteration is more country sounding than the pop version you hear on like Light FM these days. And then there's this incredible power ballad, Goodbye to Love, with its awesome killer fuzzed out electric guitar solo, which caused a lot of consternation amongst the Carpenter faithful. They were like freaked out that someone would put fuzz on a guitar in one of their songs, but it adds a ton to it. And Karen Carpenter's vocals are just outrageous, like they're top of the universe. And the only negative would be Richard and his vocals, which are not good, and he should not sing, but unfortunately he does. So it's not a perfect album, but it's pretty sweet. For my number 21, I'm heading over to Philadelphia for a little soul action. I got Backstabbers from the OJs, love Gamble and Huff's production work. You got some great arrangement on strings from Tom Bell, and classic OJs with Love Train, Backstabbers, and some great album cuts like 992 Arguments and Listen to the Clock on the Wall. And that's it. Now you roast me. You roast my picks, damn it.
I haven't listened to that OJ's album or Backstabbers, but Pretty Joe, except for the Transformer craziness, I feel like you owe so many people apologies over the last year because of that one. You're probably going to go to sleep listening to Lulu tonight.
I guess I'm not super surprised that Octopus made it. I didn't care for it that much. I only gave it 3 stars. I'm glad to see Transformer make it, but I feel like you are quickly extinguishing Lee Reed fans' excitement by immediately putting the Carpenters ahead of it. So I think that is kind of a funny juxtaposition there, but on with the show.
All right. Still in 4.5 territory. I'm going a little country rock. And for my quick aside, for my list, like I'm picking as many of like the best of certain genres as possible. Like when going back through this, I'm like, okay, that's the best of this, country rock, that's the best of soul. So that's why, there's so many cuts that I had to make that were painful, but I feel like everything I'm picking is like the best of, whatever it is. And for this, I think this is either the best or the second best country rock album of the year. I got Bustin' Out from Pure Prairie League. Everybody knows Amy, but the rest of this album is just a great combo of rock and country. But the guitar work is killer on Angel Number 9, Leave My Heart Alone. Mick Ronson does some string arrangements, which is very weird. I don't know how they even got hooked up with him. And it's another album where you have a song called Jazz Man that has no relation at all to jazz. Reminds you a little bit of Sultans of Swing, where there's no swing at all. There's nothing on there, but I don't know, Jazz Man in a country rock album, whatever, it works. My number 19, I share with Jason. I got Young, Gifted, and Black from Aretha Franklin. I think the Aretha originals are great, Daydreaming, Rocksteady, All the King's Horses, First Snow and Kokomo. But the covers are astounding. Oh Me, Oh My, I'm a Fool for You, Baby, Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time? Border Song from Elton John, Beatles, Long Winding Road. Just really cool, different covers. Chuck Rainey, Bernard Purdy, Billy Preston, Donny Hathaway, and the greatest instrument of all, Aretha Franklin's vocals, of course, that are the star of the show. Just incredible. Sounds amazing. Production's killer. Number 18, number 1 record, Big Star. This is by far my favorite. Spoiler alert, I don't know if we'll ever do a Big Star discography, but this is my favorite. This is my number 1 from Big Star. I just think the combo of Chris Bell and Alex Chilton is such a perfect foil for each other. It sounds ahead of its time, but it's also like totally rooted in the 70s, but like maybe like 1975 or 76, maybe a little further down the line. So it's a really unique sounding album, especially for 1972. Number 17, this will make Jason happy. I got Something Anything, Todd Rundgren. I feel like this album's a little too long and it's a little too weird at spots for me. And it kind of takes me out of like my preferred Todd mode, which is his normal songs, that great blue-eyed soul voice, incredible production. I mean, he's such a good, talented pop songwriter that you get something like the Viking song. It's just like, oh, okay, I want, Couldn't I Just Tell You, I Saw the Light. Those are the things that I love. And when he's on, I mean, he's one of the greats. So 4.5 stars for this one. Not perfect, but it's damn good. And number 16, an album that I never really liked that much before, but I like clicked. I got it, as the kids say. Maybe they don't say that. Maybe I say that. But I hear a lot of people saying things click, especially in the Discord. So this one clicked for me. Thick as a Brick from Jethro Tull. I had it like low 4 stars. Like I liked it, but listening to it again amongst all these other albums, just so unique and interesting. And you really have to listen to like the whole thing. Like this is not an album because there's only 2 songs. So, you can't go in like half-assed. You got to like go full bore for this one. And I did, and I loved it. So high 4.5 stars for Thick as a Brick from Jethro Tull, my number 16.
Thank God it wasn't the only thick as a brick layer. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like you're being a little too arbitrary trying to find the best of genres here. Like, you should just be giving us your favorite 25 albums, man.
Well, these are my favorite 25, but it seems like I gravitate to, because I like all these styles and they're all so good in 1972 that like I need to have, like, I'll listen to one in prog and I'll listen to like 5 other prog ones, but the cream of the crop really stand out, and I think it kind of pushes down like the 5th and the 6th and the 7th ones, and maybe elevates some of the R&B and the country rock and pop and stuff that you might not think would be like my favorites, but they sounded too good through all this listening for me to leave them off.
Love seeing something, anything make the list. Surprised to see number 1 record. I actually didn't think that would make your top 25. Didn't know you liked Big Star that much, but happy to see it.
Alrighty, we got a couple here in a row that were not on your lists at all. Start with another prog album. I got Seventh Sojourn from the Moody Blues. And this is another one I didn't know I liked so much, but this album has like this hungover from the 60s feel to it. It might be the Chamberlain that they're using on it. Great lost in time feel. It's hazy and psychedelic, weird, but filled with gorgeous pop melodies. Not a single, duff track in the bunch. Love, I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band. Those double guitars, those incredible string arrangements. Just probably the most beautiful prog rock album that I've heard so far. Just really pretty, but with plenty of those prog accoutrements that make the genre so cool. Number 14, I'm going to go with Rod Stewart, Never a Dull Moment. Really love this album. And you got Ronnie Wood just dispensing all these killer blues riffs all over the place. Some great covers. They do a Hendrix, a Bob Dylan, Sam Cooke, like a really great selection of tracks. And really, I miss more of the originals because True Blue, Los Paraguayos, You Wear It Well. Incredible original stuff. Maybe too many covers, but still just great performance all around. And that was my last 4.5. So 5 stars. I got 13 of them for 1972. Just too many good albums. My number 13, I'm going to go with Foxtrot from Genesis. I think the band just sounds too good on this album. Rutherford's bass work and Phil Collins's drums, I think, are the best they ever sound here. Watcher in the Sky is just incredible. That weird, they go into like 5 different time signatures, but it sounds great. That opening Mellotron sounds so cool, so spacey, so like weird and alien. And the whole thing has like this cool futuristic spacey vibe to it. Timetable, Get 'Em Out by Friday. And I'm not the biggest fan of the last track that everyone has like number 1 on their greatest prog songs of all time. So I'm not the biggest Supper's Ready fan, but I think the rest of the album is killer, and Supper's Ready's fine. Number 12 with Cramser, but not Jason. Exile on Main Street, just sleazy, grimy, dirty, all those adjectives to describe just like a rock and roll record that just sounds like rock and roll. I think Cramser put it perfectly when he said, like, this is just what rock and roll sounds like, not any of the big hits. Tumbling Dice was a minor hit, but these aren't songs you hear all the time, and I think that helps the album because it just sounds so cool. The performances are so good. Jagger sounds amazing across all these 18 tracks, and it's just a band strutting at the top of their game. Fantastic stuff there. And number 11, this is a big drop for me. It wasn't my top 5. I got Honky Chateau. it's still great. It's still 5 stars. I was on like a real big Elton John kick back when we were doing album of the year, and he made like every single one. So I gotta balance it out a little bit. And I think these are great songs. Rocket Man, Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters is fantastic. And the album cuts, I mean, they're all good. There's no bad track here. It's just maybe too much Elton for me, a little overkill. But still a great album, cool feel. Honky Cat's a great, like he's just all doing whatever he wants on this, and it's great. But I don't know. I just found 10 other albums that I liked better in 1972, which we'll talk about shortly.
I dig the Rod Stewart pick. 4-star album for me, but it's a cool record. Glad to see it made one of our lists. If you've seen our Genesis video, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Foxtrot. I think they did much better and more interesting stuff afterwards. So yeah, I could do without it. But yeah, Seventh Sojourn I liked more than I expected. I forget the name of it. The second track on that record. Really enjoyed that one.
I also find Foxtrot overrated, but that was a very early video we did, and we weren't doing ratings. I still think Foxtrot is good to really good, but I think it is overblown. And I'm with Jason. I'll take like the more transition period going from Peter to Phil. Peter's last few, Phil's first couple, I think are far more interesting. But obviously the musicianship is great. I just think there's just kind of a little aimlessness on that album, to be honest. And I will get crucified for that, but it is what it is. I mean, people could probably say the same about Close to the Edge, and I think that's brilliant. So,
well, of these top 10, I believe only one of them did not make one of or both of your lists. So pretty standard 1972 list, starting with my number 10, For the Roses, Joni Mitchell, which I bumped up from 4.5 to 5 stars this past couple weeks. And I guess I was just sleeping on it a little bit because song for song, I think it might be her most consistent record. And I love that she was writing more with the piano, gives it a nice, rich, fuller sound. It's still Joni. The vocals are great. I love when she drops in the full band on Blonde in the Bleachers for the first time. Like, you don't get it ever on any of her albums. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, here's a full band I'll be using for the rest of my career. And it's just a cool, like, out of nowhere moment. Really great stuff there from Joni. Number 9, classic Machine Head. How can you not have it on your list? Propulsive hard rock, Smoke on the Water is just the beginning. There's so many better tracks, in my opinion, but obviously Smoke on the Water is great, but you also have Highway Star, the dramatic pictures of home, Epic Lazy, huge space trucking. Ian Gillan's vocals are incredible. Richie Blackmore's neoclassical guitar, so unique. I love the huge vibrato he puts on the end of his notes. Roger Glover's bass, love. I think the secret sauce, John Lord's organ, that chugging massive, just all-encompassing sound. So cool, so unique, so powerful. Killer album there, Machine Head. Number 8, I got Music of My Mind, Stevie Wonder. I love Stevie Wonder. Clearly, this cannot be a surprise to anybody. This is his first in the classic era, first with the Tonto synth. First he made pretty much all on his own. And it's just filled with incredible tunes. I love pretty much all of them. Happy in the Morning Sun, just Stevie and a clavichord. Superwoman, you know, the 2-part epic. I love the little guitar from Buzz Feitan. And this one probably has more, you know, it feels more onto the start of something. And I think his songwriting gets a little bit better, but this is such an important step for him. And it's just a killer album. Number 7, this one dropped out of my top 5, and I feel bad about it because I love this album. But I got Volume 4, Black Sabbath. Like both of you said, it's, you know, just them getting weirder and weirder, almost two sides, because some of it is so dark and oppressive. And then there's like the hints of, you know, I don't know about brightness, but there's like little extra elements. There's some Latin flavor at the end of Supernaut. There's changes with its, you know, big mellotron, and, you know, it's a ballad. They didn't do ballads, but, you know, they decided to throw a ballad on here. And I think it's amazing. Tony Iommi's guitar is just incredible. And I agree with Kramzer. Ozzy is such an underrated vocalist, and he really, I think, this might be his best vocal album. Incredible. Snowblind, one of my favorite songs of all time. One of the many great songs about cocaine that have been written. Coke rules, man. That's why music today sucks. Not enough cocaine, I think. My number 6 is a new entry. And I haven't heard a single person mention it or talk about it. So I'm happy to point this one out for everyone. Let's check it out. I got Sandy by Sandy Denny. I only knew Sandy from Battle of Evermore. Even back when we were doing like the 1972 albums, I didn't realize she had a bunch of solo stuff, not to mention the Fairport Convention. But on this, her second solo album, such a rich, lush mix of folk and rock, backed by killer players. She got her Fairport Convention chum Richard Thompson providing guitar, and it's just so unique sounding. Her voice so big, it had that like little touch of Irishness in it, which really adds like a little extra element, makes it feel a little exotic. And she does a killer Bob Dylan cover of Tomorrow's a Long Time. And Sneaky Pete guests on one song and puts in maybe his best pedal steel solo ever. And it's just cool. Like there's a song, Quiet Joys of Brotherhood, where it's just her vocals, just completely solo. And she's just doing this incredible, Irish folk. And it's just a little bit mind blowing that people don't know this one because it's incredible. So there you go. There's 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Any thoughts?
Cool with the Sandy Denny. I don't know it, but I was reading about it in like preparation to doing this and never got around to it. And there's no way I was going to listen to it twice, so I didn't even attempt it. But pretty interesting. I am shocked Volume 4 fell out. I gotta just assume that Talking Book's still the winner, but we'll see.
Yeah, I forgot to mention or predict the Sandy Denny pick, but I knew that was coming. I kind of forgot that it was going to be coming, but yeah, I knew that was going to be on your list.
All right. Top 5. Here we go. Number 5, I got Can't Buy a Thrill from Steely Dan. Hardly any jazz on this one at all. Their debut. So much great guitar work. Elliot Randall, Jeff Skunk Baxter, Denny Diaz. And you still have, Becker and Fagan, their sardonic, dry humor, the witty lyrics, the cleverness. They're surprisingly deep. And I think, the secret is they're also so catchy that you don't even need to like understand the references or anything. Like you just tune in. You just tune in to incredibly catchy rock songs with a little hint of jazz, plenty of pop. And, it's amazing that they were so curmudgeonly from such a young age. It just blows my mind that they like came out of the womb, like just grumpy old man. It's great. So many classic songs on this one. Number 4, I got Harvest from Neil Young. I don't know if I was like kneeled out last time when we were doing the 1972 album of the years, but I couldn't deny how good every single track on this album sounds. The hits, Heart of Gold, An Old Man, but every single song on here is great. I love the country flair. His most country sounding, other than Old Ways, and maybe the debut. But there's just enough of that country sound in the hard rock. I think Alabama is wildly underrated as a song, and just hit after hit. Absolutely loved it more than I ever have before listening to it this past couple weeks. Number 3, dropping one spot, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Spiders from Mars? Spiders from Mars. The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Yes. I think this is the pinnacle of glam rock, the pinnacle of David Bowie. These songs are just, out of this world. basically. I mean, it almost feels like from another planet. Maybe the key is that Bowie had Mick Ronson there, kind of be the rock, that acoustic guitar that really the songs were built upon, and then throwing in all those just incredible solos. The one on Moon Age Daydream, one of my favorites ever. And it's just a phenomenal, killer, nearly perfect album. Only problem for 72 is I have two perfect albums ahead of it. Number two, and another one I don't know what I was thinking in 72 when we did our original list. I got close to the edge. But yes, I think it's the best prog rock album of all time. I now think it's perfect. It's a 10 out of 10. 3 songs, all with sort of like a different way of approaching prog, which makes it so interesting. You have the mind-bending instrumentals of the title track, the beautiful And You and I, and then the spacey hard rock and Siberian Katru. It's just incredible. The guitar work from Steve Howe is just out of this world. Everything's great. Chris Squire's great. Just the whole band, unbelievable. I don't know why I thought this wasn't a perfect album, but now realize it is. And my number one, still at the top of the list, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book. I just think, the songwriting is a step up from Music of My Mind. I think the production's a step up. His ideas just flowing out of him. It's a perfect album. I couldn't ask for more from Stephen Wonder, and he delivers with Talking Book. So that retains the title. We've talked about it many times, but it's good to see it on at least one of your lists. Not Jason's, but Cramser gets it.
Nice list. We ended up, if you weren't keeping track, with 7 albums on all 3 top 25 lists. Those being number 1 record, Machine Head, Music of My Mind, Volume 4, Can't Buy a Thrill, Harvest, and Ziggy Stardust. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure you stay tuned for Joe's top 25 songs coming out soon. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and check the video description for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, website, and merch. We will see you in the next one.